Welcome to our National Poetry Day celebration 2021. We're Heartlines writers, and my name's Liz Macpherson. We'd like to share with you today a medley of poems, all of which embrace this year's National Poetry Day theme, which is choice. Some of our poems are touching, some are funny, some reflective, some soothing, some are thought-provoking. We hope that all of them will make your brains fizz with possibilities, effervesce with diversity, and bubble with variety. So, without further ado, here is our first poet, Barbara.
Hello, I'm Barbara, and my poem considers the downside of ever-increasing choice. Don't tell me I need more choice. Don't spin that capitalist lie. I don't want more opportunity to browse or more cynical inducements to buy, unnecessary tat that clutters my flat, that exploits workers rebranded as shirkers, leaves many indebted and most of us fat. Choice is killing the planet, polluting food chains, corrupting core values, even rewiring our brains. But who cares about that when profit is the holy grail and those who govern won't be around when their cherished policies fail? Choice is often pernicious, not desirable or delicious. Endless growth can't be sustained, and it's time we all complained. So shout in your loudest voice, no more choice. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Eileen, and the poem I'm going to read is called Palace of Imagination. I wanted to enter the palace of the imagination, where I would find myself, young as I had always been, suffused with the bursting sap of hope, green limbs growing towards the crowning leaves of sky-faced dreams. Beneath that tree, I laid in sunlit glimmer, surveying all the lands that lay ahead. My kingdom was infinity, and it shimmered. My only choice was the open road ahead. This young heart packed its mind with so much luggage. The road was slow, and detours blocked the way. But the sap of life and dreams still bubbled through me, though the palace was reserved for another day. Then days were months, were years, were decades later. The green limbs brown and wrinkled, the leaves all dead. The wind blew through me, shedding dead leaves skywards, till my branches were clear and I could see straight ahead. And there I saw my young self calling me onwards, and the open road curved further than my eye could see. Beyond the horizon lay the palace of imagination and my dreams of infinity. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Howard. This is called An Open Letter. Dear heart, dear brain, you are joined but in conflict. Must you make me choose, since you both seek love? I am not so wise to declare one right, one wrong, but a heavy heart leads to heavy thinking, and heavy thoughts to a heavy heart. Dear heart, must you choose to fall in love? It's a constant of yours, one you make without thinking, no choice at all. No doubt on my deathbed you'll have me fall in love again when it's all too late. Can you find no other occupation? Beat my blood at a steady rate, without rising at sight like a flame. Dear brain, must you really think about love? Must you always dissect the heart with all its motives? Will the heart always lead you astray? Come what may, the heart beats for you in its tender way. You cannot choose to love. Love is always there, it fills the air. We breathe it in and make of it what we will. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jackie, and I'm reading a prose poem called The Delusion of Choice. Crumpled navy blue suit, scuffed brown shoes, short dark hair with a parting on the side. The man standing in front of me threw his arms wide and said the words bank or building society, like a stage magician about to produce a rabbit from a hat. I was as puzzled as the bunny would have been. Bank or building society had no meaning for me. The world I lived in had zero connection with theirs. His reveal was intended as a delight, the ultimate choice for any fifth-year schoolgirl. My eyes flickered as I scanned the rubble of a future laid out, bare and stark. Time passed in a daze, trapped and panicked, looking for an escape route. Continued education was a temporary detour until the summer of love turned up and everything changed. The illusion of a freedom of choice, the purple haze, the yellow brick road, the hookah smoking caterpillar, all pointed to a change of direction. I took the next left and started down a road that was still being constructed, filled with red cones, no stopping, no waiting, and definitely no U-turns. Thank you.
My poem was inspired by somebody I used to work with back in the days when I was a librarian. He'd had a terrible accident when he was a young man. It changed his life and it forced him to make what must have been incredibly painful choices. But I was always struck by how he simply got on with things despite the difficulties he faced. So towards the end of the poem, I've included a few Dewey numbers. And just so you know, 188.4 is the Dewey decimal number for Stoicism. The poem's called Librarian. After the accident, you learn there's no call for a bin man with one arm. Your fiancée keeps the ring and you go your separate ways. You don't blame her. You notice the things that can't be done, like tying shoelaces, chopping veg, putting paste on a toothbrush, doing up buttons, cradling a child. When you're discharged, you look for work, and you've never been one for reading, but you find a job in a library. Dewey is a mystery at first. You teach yourself to write with your other hand, forming capital letters that never quite grow up. You don't talk a lot, but words have always stuck in your throat, and books are silent too. You buy a new car and a static caravan on the coast, where every weekend you have a seat at the club. Stack the years in volumes, take days and file them away in order, each one accounted for and checked off. 386, 793, 188.4, because life's about knowing what to discard and what to keep, no more. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Malcolm, and I'm calling this poem When is a Choice Not a Choice? There's small choice in rotten apples, he quoted as he sank his teeth into the Pink Lady. The sign had declared choice apples, but why, he thought, as his tongue found the worm hidden inside, had he chosen this one. No money, no opportunities, no future. No choice but to live his life chewing on the scraps and worms he came across in the fruit basket of his existence. Oh yes, he has the choice to eat or to keep warm, to sleep in the park or in that doorway on the Arndale Centre. Happiness is a choice, the comfortable say, but it's hard to make that choice when you are hungry, tired and cold. Caught between a rock and a hard place, between the devil and the deep blue sea, on the horns of a dilemma. Call me Hobson, he thought. Choices are the hinges of destiny, but his door is locked from the outside. Thank you.
I'm reading this poem on behalf of Terry Wassell, called Choice. You didn't choose life. You were thrust into it. Your parents didn't choose you. Well, not the way you turned out. Snarling, spitting, bitter, angry. At every step of the way, the life you had not chosen confronted you with menus, with options that were not yours, and forced you to choose. Netball, not football. Domestic science, not woodwork. Virginity or disgrace. Hairdresser or shop assistant. Obedience and servitude. You railed against a world that forced choices upon you that were not yours. A life led that you had not wished for. Choice shriveled into destiny and fate. Flotsam swept back and forth on a stony beach. By careless tides, uncaring waves, thoughtless currents, gripped in a world that should have been your oyster. But constant abrasion produced an imperfect pearl, acid wit, off-kilter humour, in-your-face attitudes, hard to ignore, difficult to hate, the strange attraction of not quite beautiful, until the tide washed up one more fateful choice that made everything different. You chose me, I chose you. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, my name's Bill, and the poem I'm going to read is called Prisoner. If I could, I would choose the freedom to escape all earthly bonds and let my soul loose in the wilderness of interstellar space. I would embark on a cosmic trek, swearing through star clouds and watch on the edge of creation as galaxies form. I would dive in titanic oceans, be at one with the genetic code of life, lift my eyes to the radiant suns of alien worlds and gaze into the eye of God. But I have no such choice. I am constrained by gravity's iron grip, chained to this rock we call home, our earthly paradise and our prison cell. Thank you.
My name's Rosie. This poem is called A Joint Effort. It's up to you, she said, her face a taut, screwed up ball of tension about to explode. She fought to stop her hands turning to fists as she gripped my exercise book. My Latin homework was checkered in the deep-etched red of her angry pen, a stone scored with her cutting critique, and in her mouth her words pushed their way out through bits of tessellated Roman pavement, forced past the sharp-edged shards. It's up to you. See me at once with Jane, the red pen snarled, and on Jane's much the same, except with me. It was teamwork, our homework, not our own work. But when it was largely wrong, it was never long before our working embrace turned into disgrace. It's up to you, she scowled and gurned. Carry on as you are, and in the exam you'll fail. So it was a choice. We failed. But what if Rolls hadn't worked with Royce?
Hello, I'm Linda, My poem is about the end of a romance. I have no choice, Mr. Valentine, but to announce a sweeping reshuffle in the cabinet of love. I sack you from being my sweetheart. You deserted me for another. Yes, there are a handful of contenders, one of them your chief rival. I will replace you post-haste. You have let me and my government down. I never admired your stealthy politics. My advisors had misgivings. In times of catastrophe, you were abroad when your presence was needed. You were seen consorting with lowlifes in dark and feckless corridors, wheeler dealing and arranging contracts for the benefit of personal friends, bringing me and my good judgment into serious disrepute. O love of mine, consider yourself well and truly fired. As Prime Minister of my own feelings, it is I who has the final say. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marie-Paul. My poem is also about romance, about the choices we make when we're young and how they affect all your life. This is called This Old Flame. Imagine if we had married. It wouldn't have been a grand wedding for sure. Parents would disapprove. Getting married, no job, no future, what fools. They would not come to the do if there was one. Couple of witnesses and us at the registry office. Or that might not have been a wedding at all, but we could have stayed together. And yet we didn't. And now, after decades and borders apart, I still wonder what it would have been like if we had married. Imagine, would we have remained the non-conformist we were? Or would we have become bourgeois somehow? A house, 2 kids, a dog or a cat? A cat, I think. We both loved cats. Would we have a car or continue riding our bikes into old age? Would we have made it to India together instead of separately and years apart? Contact has been spasmodic, but now with social media, I see pictures of your travels. You see pictures of mine. We comment on each other's little statements. We like them, we love them, we say nothing. I don't know whether I would have loved you all the time. I'm sure you would have been unfaithful now and again. And I might have been too. You might have driven me insane with your love of red wine and exotic cigarettes. But I would love you now. Still the same outlook on life. Perhaps the same politics even. That should matter. And you sound fun in your little messages. In my heart, I hug you, virtually. Imagine if we had married. We'd probably hate each other by now and never exchange a written word. So just as well, we didn't get married. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Drew, and I'm reading my poem, Choices. I may close the book, half read, which warns me there will be no shelter from that roof ripper that rampages through my city, flattens walls, and spins cars as I once spun the roundabout for you. I may close the book, or I may not. You may sit in silent gardens where chrysalids disintegrate and crumble into dust, and no birds sing. You may close your ears to distant, childish voices that name the terror which they face, the terror fast approaching. Or you may not. We may turn away from news of crackling branches, that twist and blacken as the fire train speeds through Californian hills and over arid Saddleworth, devouring shacks and mansions without discrimination. Or we may not. They may deny that climate change will cause the rising sea to swallow Kiribati Island, and may refuse to answer when children ask them, will we float or will we drown, living in a flooded world? Or they may not. We may all choose Earth's roaming wind, the power of the pounding waves, sun's endless heat, to power shrunken needs and join our children in the fight for their tomorrow. Or we may not. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed our National Poetry Day medley. Thank you to all the poets and to you, of course, for listening. If you enjoyed our work, you can enjoy more of it on our website, www.heartlines.uk. Thank you.